to another episode of eyeBytes Podcast. My name is Daniel, and with me, as always, my good friend Sajan. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How are you, Daniel?
I can't complain. You know, it's a beautiful summer weather outside. It's starting to get warm today, and it's going to be a warm, humid day. Yay. I always love those days. But yeah, I know it hasn't been that long since we did the last episode at the beginning of the month, but since Wwdc took place last week, we thought we would chime in and give you guys our thoughts about what was announced at Wwdc. And Saj, since you're the one that wanted to record this episode, I'll let you take the lead on the show.
Awesome, man. Thank you. Yeah, so WWDC, Apple announced iOS 16, iPadOS 16, tvOS 16, HomePodOS 16. Is it called HomePodOS?
HomePodOS, yeah.
Yeah. And they also announced macOS Monterey, the watchOS 9, a lot of software stuff. And they also threw in a new M2 MacBook Air and a new MacBook M2.
MacBook Pro?
Yeah, MacBook Pro.
I don't know. With a touch bar. I'm like, why the touch bar? Really?
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I'm
But yeah, start with the first item, the iOS 16.
Yeah, iOS 16. Yeah, so iOS 16. Apple really, I do like the new look for the lock screen. That was one major update where now widgets from the home screen from iOS 14 are on the lock screen now. They don't look the same, of course. It's for the lock screen. And I like, you can have 4 widgets on the bottom, small ones, or you can have 2 large ones, or you can mix them up with 2 smaller ones, 1 large one. You know how on the Apple Watch, you have different watch faces? You can just swipe across. Well, now on the lock screen, on the phone, you can actually swipe across different lock screens. The same method that you just hold down, and you can edit.
Okay.
The cool thing is, let's say if you have the weather widget and even the activity widget, if the phone's unlocked, you can just tap it and it'll open the same app directly from the lock screen, which is awesome. And the cool thing is you can actually lock them to focus modes. So for like bedtime, I have like a dark mode wallpaper where it's like a dark moon type wallpaper. And the focus mode will automatically go off at night and change my wallpaper automatically, and which is kind of nice. I do enjoy that. And
for clarification for our listeners, you're on the beta, so that's, you know, we're talking a little bit early about the iOS 16. You're on the developer beta, and I'm not that courageous to put that on my main device, but you are courageous enough to do it, so that's why you have early access to it. But
I was just going to put this on my iPhone 7 Plus, that I just realized Apple also kicked out iOS. The iPhone 7, they don't have, that phone doesn't have.
Sad. I wish I would have kept it 7 around, but well.
Yeah, because they kicked out the 6S and the 7. Normally they only do 1 generation phone, but this time they took out 2.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to the lock screen thing because that's going to be pretty nice. I like right now on my personal iPhone, I have my homepage is full of folders depending on the category. So I have like one for travel, one for finance, one for social. I got one for, I got 4 folders for different types of games. But to be able to, like, I'd love to put like the battery widget, maybe the weather widget, but I don't want to put them on the home screen and have multiple pages of apps. Some people like that. For me, I just want everything on the same page because I know where everything is. But having the widgets on the lock screen would be pretty nice because I've had that exposure with my work phone. I don't have that many apps on my work phone, so I put the weather widget in the top right corner, and I'm kind of like having those widgets there, but I don't want to screw up my home screen on my personal iPhone. So having these on the lock screen, I think will be pretty nice. I'll be able to unlock my phone, look at the widgets very quickly, and see, the weather's like this, or here's my battery. It'll be nice, and then it won't have to affect my home screen.
Yeah, also like about the lock screen they've added. Let's say if you have a app that's for like sports and you keep getting constant notifications, instead of getting a bunch of notifications from the same app, they can refresh the first notification that they sent you. It's like a live notification.
Basically, just remove the old notification and replace it with the current one.
Yeah.
And now I think they're coming from the bottom now instead of the top 2 notifications.
Yes.
Is that for like all notifications or just notifications on the lock screen?
All notifications.
Oh, nice. So it's it's like Siri now when you I just probably activated my speaker. But It's like the slow-mo speakers, the HomePods. When where was I going with this? When you activate slow-mo on your phone, the notification pops up on the bottom instead of being on the top now.
Yeah, exactly. Which is awesome. Yeah, so it's more cleaner that way, and you can actually see your full entire wallpaper, which is nice. And if you want to like expand your notification, you can just swipe up, and now all your notifications show up in on the front form.
So
which is nice.
Anything else new on iOS 16 or?
Yeah. I was gonna get to so last episode we mentioned how the door detection stuff for accessibility is coming with iOS 15.6. It's actually it's coming with iOS 16.
Yeah, it's gonna be with 16. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's coming with 16, and I'll actually insert a clip of me walking towards a door.
Door 1 meter away. Turn handle or knob, swing.
I'm looking forward to that. Actually,
again, this is a beta. No one has it yet. Except developers.
That is actually one feature I'm looking forward to, because I know I'm in the process of upgrading my phone. Maybe I'm looking at what my options are. So my next phone is probably going to be a Pro model. And that's one thing. Like, I know a lot of people say that it's great, but it's not like a world shattering feature. So, but it's still something I'm looking forward to being able to play around with the LiDAR, with Microsoft Seeing AI, and then with the door detection on iOS and the people detection. I look forward to that, to be able to play around with the LiDAR finally.
Yeah. It's a good thing. On the Watch OS, now notifications come in like on the iPhone, like small little, if you're like using your watch, let's say you're texting someone and you get another notification, instead of taking the whole entire screen, it just drops down a little bit from the top of the screen. Have you ever wondered that why on the watch the iMessage doesn't have voice memos? Like, you can't record a voice memo?
I thought you could.
With
voice memos. No, sorry, I'm talking about iMessage. I think I can record voice recordings on iMessage, but I don't know about voice memos. No, I don't really do a lot of stuff with my watch except getting notifications and workouts. That's about it. But I used to love doing dictation on the watch for when I had my iMessages, but now dictation kind of is not as fluid or intuitive as it once was.
Yeah, I wish they brought that other thing back, because now I'm having little glitches with it now. I mean, again, I'm on a beta, so maybe they will improve it, but yeah. iPad OS got center stage, which is cool in a way. It's like separate multitasking kind of in a way, because it's a toggle in the control center that you will enable. And once you do that, and now you can have like 4 windows on your iPad instead of having 2 split screen and having 2 more with like, before you could like group a bunch of different apps. If you like open the app switcher, you can see, hey, a Mail and Safari are together, and then Notes and Photos are together. You can like switch them back and forth, but now you can have 4 apps all at once on the screen if you wanted to. And if you plug in to external display, before it used to just mirror your iPad, and you had these black bars top and bottom and side to side depending how large your monitor was. Now it's a nice full screen. It'll take advantage of the whole entire all the pixels on the screen, and it will actually allow you to have 8 apps. You can have 4 apps on the iPad and have 4 apps on the display. But people are saying, but the thing is, it's locked to M1 iPads only.
Yeah, that was kind of crummy. I was like, really? Wow.
Yeah, I see. Nowadays, I noticed with Apple, with iOS updates, they make these cool, powerful features, but they limited. Even though the old iPads or devices get that operating system, the latest operating system, they cut off a bunch of cool features that they announced because the computer, that device doesn't have that much power, which kind of sucks, because before, even when you updated older iPhones, you actually got like newer, like all of the new features that Apple actually announced, but now they stopped doing that, which kind of sucks.
I also forgot to mention in iOS, there was also some stuff with the iMessage features there with unsending messages after a certain amount of time. You can unsend a message. You can delete messages. I think you can. No, sorry, not delete messages. You can unsend them. And there was something else. I forgot what it was. Or edit them now.
Edit them, yeah. Edit them before Twitter.
I'm guessing this is also the same available on iPad as well. I think there was also a new Apple Pay thing. You could go to certain websites.
Apple Pay Later?
Yeah, something like that, where you can pay something in the span of like 5-6 months. No, sorry, it's 5-6 months. I think 5-6 weeks. I think. Is it 5 weeks?
Yeah,
5 weeks to four equal payments in 5 weeks.
So basically, Apple, when you try to buy, this is in the US only so far. Yeah. But what happens is, let's say you're trying to buy a new, I don't know, a computer from a different store. It doesn't have to be Apple Store. It could be any store, and you're using Apple Pay to pay for it. Well, you'll get this Apple Pay Later thing, and Apple will actually pay for the whole entire thing for you. But then in those 4 payments, you'll be paying Apple back. Mm-hmm. So Apple's trying to be the middleman here.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'll ever use it if it comes up to Canada, but that was one of the things. There's also have the iCloud photo family sharing. You could have one photo album for everybody to add photos to the group if you want. Yeah, that's something I'm looking forward to. It'd be kind of nice.
You want to be careful with that because sometimes you don't want to share a whole entire photo library.
No, you could share certain photos, or when you take a photo, you can decide whether that newly taken photo can go to that shared library or not. It's just like if you have like a family of iPhone users, you're going to you're going on a trip together and you want to take photos of the trip, you can create a photo library for the whole family to be able to add stuff to.
Yeah, because right now, whenever we go for our trip, once we're in the car, we're just airdropping back and forth photos.
Yeah.
so it's like, hey, can you send me this one? Can you send me this one? I'm like, no, it's okay. So this way, have one folder. Now everyone has the full set. It's kind of nice. Again, the Stage Manager thing also came to the MacBook. Mm-hmm. I don't think they really needed to put that on the MacBook because I think it's trying to manage Windows for you. Mm-hmm. So I guess if you're coming to a MacBook from an iPad, which I did, and I found computers to be a little complicated personally in the beginning. So turning Stage Manager on, having the iPad kind of capability, kind of eases you into a computer. Then you can slowly turn that feature off if you really wanted to, or you can continue to use it. It just cleans up your area, I guess. But it's not for me now, personally. It's not for me. If you're on an iPad,
I don't use a Mac anymore, so I don't care. Sorry. Yeah, I'm switching over back to Windows. I'm like, Mac, not for me.
But you're an iOS user, though.
I'm iOS, yeah. For me, I just want it to work. So going to Android and iOS, I prefer iOS. I have Android, so I can play around with it and learn more about it. But for me, for my daily driver, I prefer iPhones. Yeah, but now going back to iPadOS was also more collaboration features. I think there was also a Freeform app that's supposed to be like a whiteboard type of thing.
Yes, Freeform, like the whiteboard thing on Zoom that they have currently. So that's coming a little later. We don't have that in beta yet, but
I guess that'd be nice for people who
collaborate over FaceTime.
Yeah, I guess for people who are teams who use Macs for their working, they can do collaboration with Pages, Numbers, and Keynotes, and they have that whiteboard Freeform. I think it's called Freeform, the app, and they can use that to do like a whiteboard type of thing. So I don't know. For me, I don't really use it. So
I don't know if you know this, but
probably not.
But you can actually share anything. You can actually collaborate with, if you have an iPhone to iPhone or any iOS device with iOS 16, of course, and iPadOS 16, you can actually collaborate a web page too, if you really wanted to. In the share sheet, when you click on share and you have all those, options with messages, FaceTime, whatnot, you can actually share a web page if you're working on a web page together or looking at a web page together, or it could be like you said, Keynote or Pages, Numbers. It could be any app. If the developer works on it and they implement it, then you can collaborate with anything you really wanted to. Which is nice.
What was the name? So was it the macOS Ventura now, right? It's no longer Monterey. It's Ventura now. I know they also announced. What was it? The other thing. There was a handoff for FaceTime calls now, which I'm like, that's kind of
That's
cool.
what I was going to say. Continuity camera.
Well, that's, yeah, hold on. It's just, so you have the FaceTime, you can transfer FaceTime calls now between your Mac and your phone. I know you can do it between your phone and your HomePod. That was one thing. They also had another thing, which I'm like so stoked about, because that one thing I always hated about Macs is the webcams suck. They're like 720p. I don't know why they don't do 1080p. They're starting to do that with some of their Macs now. I think the iMac has a 1080p camera.
The new MacBooks.
The new MacBook Air, I think, has one as well, and the new MacBook Pro M2s have the 1080p cameras, I think. But
not the MacBook Pro M2, only the MacBook 2 Air.
Oh, okay. So yeah, there's that. But then because the camera, instead of actually just putting a better camera, they decided to add this the iPhone camera continuity, where now you can use your iPhone camera as your and I think it's the front facing or the back facing camera you can use as your webcam now in your Mac. So a lot of the apps that did this before are now pretty much in the hole. Now they're like, okay, well, let's pack up and leave now because Apple just took it away from us. That's actually gonna be a nice thing. And I think with the ultra wide lens on some of the cameras, you can actually do like a desktop type of view where you can see, the camera will actually see your desk. So if you want to show something like a card trick or something, the camera can see that as well.
You know, then another thing I want to mention with accessibility, I was talking with a friend the other day over the phone, and I was mentioning how the ultra wide has a center stage. So once the phone is, clamped to your belt, and by the way, we'll sell a.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that's a lot of adapters for this, or
adapters
special
and whatnot that
docks.
go clamped on your phone. On your monitor or your top of your laptop screen, and your phone will just sit on top with MagSafe or whatnot. But what happens is the phone doesn't move at all. The ultra wide camera will actually zoom into your face, and if you move your face or if you move side to side, it will actually track you, which is awesome for people who can't see. Instead of them for someone like you, Daniel, instead of like trying to align your camera, making sure everything is centered or whatnot. Now you can just plop your camera up there, and now center stage will make sure that you're in center.
Yeah, but keep in mind, I'm going back to Windows, so I'm not going to be able to enjoy this anymore.
No, but I was just giving you an example.
But there is actually something I want to talk about afterwards, but I'll wait till after. But now now that I know, there's anything else on any of the OSs that we want to talk about? I know we have HomePod. No. I don't think there's anything new with HomePod.
No.
Watch. There's just I think now there's like a medication app now. It'll remind you of. That's actually one thing I'm looking forward to, because I do take daily medication, so it'd be nice to be able to have an app to let you know, hey, I know it's stupid. Like, well, how can you forget taking your medication? Trust me, it happens every so often. Not always.
When you're busy,
but occasionally when I wake up in the morning, I do take this pill for antacid, and I find that having something to remind me every morning, oh, did you take it or not? And sometimes I do forget, and I do pay for it the next day. But having something to remind me might be nice to have. But yeah, iOS, I don't think there's anything new. Like if people want
the new running feature.
Yeah, well, people want to look more about more advanced features of iOS, all the OSs, they can go look online. Again, this is a week ago, so I forgot a lot of the details. I'm just going off an article of iMore just to refresh my memory. But there's a lot of stuff that came out with iOS, iPadOS, macOS. And there's one thing though I do want to bring up, and this is something that it's been talked a lot about. People have been talking about this new add-on to iOS, and I think you might know where I'm coming with this. For those of us using VoiceOver, especially those of us from the 80s, we remember using JAWS on Windows, which is a screen reader for Windows, and you always used to use the default screen reader, a speech synthesizer called Eloquence. Well, Eloquence, after so many years of people telling Apple, please put Eloquence on iOS, well, they finally listened, and they're finally in iOS 16, they're putting Eloquence on iOS, and I'm so thrilled.
And macOS.
On macOS, I think they have it on the... it'd be kind of cool if they had it on HomePod OS too, but I don't think they'll have it there. But at least iPadOS, iOS, and macOS, they're going to finally have Eloquence. I don't think it's available on the watch, though. I think the watch is going to have Alex, but it's not going to have all the other voices except for Eloquence, which is kind of a bummer. But finally, I'll be able to use my Eloquence voice from my JAWS on my iOS device. I'm so looking forward to this.
Yeah, I think that's your biggest feature for you, right? Because
for me, I've been using JAWS for quite a while,
all day long.
Well, I use JAWS all day long for work, so
you want that, don't you? Because you're listening to that 24/7.
Well, I know some people don't like it. Like, why is everybody such crazy over this 30-year-old speech synthesizer? It's just that some people swear that this one here, it's made for speed. You can crank up the speech rate really fast, and it's the speech synthesizer is not going to cut off any words. It actually pronounces a lot of the words properly, versus other synthesizers sometimes doesn't pronounce words properly. And those other more human sounding voices, when you crank up the speed, it tends to cut off some of the words. That's why for me, I've always used Eloquence on JAWS, and I started using it on NVDA. And now to be able to have it on my phone, Android had it. You have to buy the synthesizer on the Play Store, but they stopped selling it. I think when they went from 32 to 64, I'm not too sure why they decided to stop selling it, but they don't have it on Android. You have to sideload it, I think. But be able to have it now, finally have it for the iOS. I'm so looking forward to this. This is going to be my new screen reader on my phone. And this, to put on I'll put on everything I have. And people are like, why are you using this old one? I'm like, I don't care. I like it. I don't know. It's just, to me, makes me feel at ease.
No, it's good, because I actually noticed that too with Alex. I personally like it because it's more human type to me. But I did notice, like you were mentioning, when you have it on high speed, it will mispronounce things. And when I look at I'm like, wait, did I spell that incorrectly? Or did I misspell that, right? And I go back, and I was like, I spelled it right. Why did I speak it like that? So now I know why too, because you're more of a screen. You use screen readers more than I do.
I've had synthesizers on Windows. I think when I was using RealSpeak Solo, there was some of the synthesizers on JAWS.
You lost me.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of there's Eloquence, which is made by Code Factory. I think there is Vocalizer Expressive that Free and Scientific, the makers of JAWS, have. You can download for free and use. Those are more human sounding voices. You also have RealSpeak Solo, I think, which was another type of synthesizer. But I try to remember a while back ago at work. I remember when certain synthesizers used to read like the Roman numerals, for work, for example, we have like the word CC, which is when you CC somebody, you carbon copy somebody. Well, these JAWS would read it as 200 because CC is the Roman numeral for 200. Or CM, a buddy of mine, his initials were CM, and it would read it as, I think it was I don't remember, I think it was 500 or something. I don't remember what it was, but I was like, why is it reading numbers? But then it hit me. I'm like, it's coded into the synthesizer that when it reads these Roman numerals, it reads the number instead of just reading it the letters alone. But certain other synthesizers you can actually reprogram. Like I remember one of my bosses, it mispronounced her name. And I could actually go back into the dictionary and fix it so it would pronounce it properly. Sometimes you might get some words or names that certain synthesizers will mispronounce, and you can go back in there. And most of the time you can go in there, you can tell it. Like in iOS, there's a lot of stuff that I fix pronunciation. So if I hear, if it says something for example, Jedi, think of Star Wars. Well, I think VoiceOver reads as GD. I'm like, why? Why is it saying GD? So I actually went back and changed the pronunciation so it properly says Jedi, not GD. So it's like, oh, Star Wars Episode 6, Revenge of the GD. I'm like, what? Return of the GD. I'm like, so yeah, there's a lot of times I tend to I change the pronunciation dictionary so it reads it properly. So in iOS, you can do that as well, on Mac OS as well. And even on Windows, it's the same thing. Like sometimes you need to tweak it, but it's just fun. It's some of the stuff I've learned over the years with screen readers that, certain synthesizers will read certain things a certain way and there's nothing you can do about it. And like those Roman numerals, I couldn't do anything about it because it was hard coded. But I think that was in RealSpeak Solo, the synthesizer there. It had that coded into the synthesizer. I couldn't change it whatsoever. There's nothing I can do. Eloquence, I think Eloquence reads it fine. It doesn't read 200 when it reads CC. It actually reads CC. Certain synthesizers, it's funny.
I noticed with me at work, there was a form that I had to fill out, and I'm like, so I was reading it with VoiceOver. It said, fill out the parts 500 and 300. I'm like, okay, cool. And I printed the paper out because I had to hand sign it. So I told my brother, I'm like, can you tell me where part 500 and 300 is? I'll just quickly sign it, right? and it's like there's no 500 or C100. It's only B and C or C and D.
Yeah.
I'm like, huh? Oh, then I look at it, I'm like, oh, okay, I see what happened there. VoiceOver was trying to read that. Okay.
Yeah. But so going back to WWDC before we can close that off. So I don't think there's anything else new.
There's over 200 features new.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that they announced.
A lot of minor things.
Like I say, if anybody wants to read more what happened, they can go online, find the articles that talked about it. Most of the stuff, I look forward to seeing it. I'm not going to upgrade right away. I'm going to wait till 16.1.1. So my work phone, I might actually upgrade to 16.0 just to play around with it. But my personal iPhone, I think I'll wait till 16.1.1 before I upgrade.
Yeah, because you want to make sure that's not buggy.
Yeah. But anything else? Anything you're looking forward to iOS 16? Besides door detection and.
Sorry, I already have it. I don't have to look forward. I'm already using it. No, I'm joking. But no, it's I actually really enjoy the widget thing at the top because I want to quickly open the weather app, or I want to open my I see my activity, how I'm doing. I can just tap it without even opening my phone, which is awesome.
Yeah. I think didn't they say also for Mac OS they were going to redo the Mail app or something, or
not redo it? They've added the ability to
unsend. I think, right?
Unsend in 30 seconds. You have 30 seconds. Oh, sorry, 10 seconds.
I thought it was 15 minutes.
10 seconds.
Really? Okay.
For mail, even for the iPhone, it's 10 seconds. It's not for.
Or was it iMessage? You could unsend an iMessage. You had 15 minutes to unsend it. I thought it was 15 minutes for the mail and iMessage it. You had like a crazy long amount of time to unsend it. I could be wrong. I don't know. Again, I haven't really done my research. That was like last week. I knew we should have recorded this last week after WWDC. I would have probably been more informed, but now it's been over a week and I completely forgot about half the stuff they talked about. I was just so crazy happy to hear Eloquence is coming to iOS. I'm like, yay! Finally! After so many years.
No, I lost my train of thought.
That's okay. But going back, we're talking about the camera continuity. There is something I did found out. I heard about this week. It's an app. I don't remember who made it. It was on Blind Guy Talks Tech with Stephen Scott, and I heard it on the David Woodbridge's. He's got another podcast that he does, not IC, but there's another one he does. The app is called Can You See Me? It's a Windows-based app, and it's developed by a blind gentleman in the UK, I think from the RNIB. And basically, what it does is, you know how iOS, when you point your camera at somebody or your face, it'll tell you, oh, your face is centered or to the left or to the right. Well, this actually, what it does is when you open the app, it uses AI, local. It does it locally on your device, but it will actually, when you open the app, you can press enter and it will actually look at your face and tell you where your face is, like in the frame of the webcam. So you can actually make sure that you're centered properly on the webcam before you start a meeting.
So it's called Can You See Me?
It's called Can You See Me. If you go to I think it's canyouseeme.app.
Okay.
And it's a Windows-based app. I've heard of it. I haven't installed it yet because, again, I don't have my personal laptop yet. I'm still in the process of getting it. And hopefully once I get it, that's definitely an app I plan on installing. I know Stephen Scott brought it up on the Blind Guy Talks Tech. Was it yesterday? He talked about it yesterday. And I heard it on David Woodbridge. He has another podcast, Vision Australia. I keep forgetting what it's called. But he talked about it as well. I'm sure it's probably going to be coming up in other podcasts as well, but it seems like a really good app. They did a demo and it works really well. It's got a robotic voice doing it, but hey, if you can have some feedback on whether you're centered on your webcam or not, that'd be pretty awesome. Like for me, I would love to have that on my webcam. So when I start a meeting, I can make sure I'm centered and I can do that with confidence. That'd be great. Because half the time I go into meetings, I'm like, hey, am I centered? Do I look great? And they're like, yeah, you're a bit off to the left, or we're seeing your nose hair. And I'm like, okay. So I have to adjust the camera. And or we're seeing your double chin. I'm like, oh, geez. It's definitely something I'm looking forward to be able to play around with. I haven't had, like I said, I don't have my computer yet, so I can't play around with it. But hopefully one day. I decided to bring that up because I heard that yesterday, and I thought it was a kind of cool, pretty cool app to talk about.
No, that's actually awesome because right now I was again talking to another friend who was actually mentioning that it's such a pain to on trying to see if you're centered or not. I was saying, hey, you could try opening the camera app on your phone and point it towards the screen, your computer screen, and maybe get voiceover to say, hey, if you're centered or not.
I wonder if that would work on the Mac though. Does that work on the Mac? Can you have the Mac tell you like iOS if your face is centered?
There's no camera app.
There's no camera app on the Mac?
There's photo booth.
I wonder if you could. Photo booth does that.
There's FaceTime. There's no actual camera app on it because it's only the front-facing camera.
Yeah, but the photo booth, could you actually, like, is there a way either through FaceTime or a photo booth to actually have the camera and voiceover tell you, oh, your face is centered, or your face is to the left, or you got a big zit on your forehead? I don't know. I know iOS has that. Well, that doesn't tell you about the zit, but it does tell you about if your face is centered or not. So it'd be kind of cool if they had it on the Mac.
Yeah, no, I haven't tried it on FaceTime anyway, but I'll give it a shot. I'll let you know next time. But
other than that, anything else you want to talk about today, or?
No, actually, I think we covered everything.
What about anything new you bought recently, or?
No, I didn't buy anything new.
I'm trying to entice you to buy that new Rodecaster Pro 2. That was announced recently. Like, dude, like I sent you a message when I saw it. Was it
4 weeks ago?
YouTube video. It was a YouTube video. I think it was Booth Junkie. Mike Delgado did a sort of a preview of the new UI through. I think he did like screenshots. I told you, like, dude, you need to like you need to check this video out, man. It's a new Rodecaster Pro, and you're like, dude, like the software is different, man, but it's like the same. Like, no, dude, it's a completely different board. He's like, oh, dude, I hate you now.
I didn't even buy. I didn't even look at the actual title. I just clicked on the link, and I'm like looking at the interface. I'm like, wait, this looks different. Is there a new software update for it? That's what you sent me.
I was like, no, it's a new board. You're like, oh man, I gotta go buy a new board now. Well, if you check out Dark Corner Studio, Aiden does. He did a live stream last Friday, and he got his new Rodecaster Pro 2, and he's doing like a sort of a what he liked about it so far, like first thoughts. He's going to do a review on it soon, but check it out if you want to see about more about the Rodecaster Pro 2. I can't use it because I'm completely blind. It's all touchscreen, so it's kind of useless for me. I still like my faithful Yamaha mixer, does a job. Other than that, it's not really nothing new. Like, did you buy anything new, or besides? I don't think you're ordering that new Rodecaster, but
no, this one's so far. I'm good with this one. But no, I haven't bought anything. The last thing I bought was my Mac.
See, I'm actually looking at buying something. I haven't bought it yet. It's the Sensibo Air. It was brought up by David Woodbridge a couple of years back, and there's another gentleman I saw on AppleViz who talked about it, and he put a video on YouTube. I'll have to find it, but it was it's basically what it is. It's a Wi-Fi IR remote control for any ACs that require, like air conditioning units that uses a remote control. Like I have at home what they call a ductless split. So you have like the evaporator inside and the big compressors outside. Mm-hmm. And so I have a remote control that I can turn it on. I can control the directions of the fans, whether it's heating, cooling, or just air. But the remote is completely inaccessible. So every spring, what I do is when the winter comes around, I take the batteries out of the remote so they don't corrode the contacts. Not that they would, because they're only in storage for like 3-4 months during the wintertime. But every time I do that in the spring, when it rolls around, I got to put new batteries in, and then I have to ask somebody sighted to reprogram the remote again. But this, what it would do is you would basically just create an account with Sensibo, and you would program it with your remote. So that way it can recognize which frequencies that your remote uses, and then it connects to, then it will actually be able to control your AC unit through your phone instead of using that.
It also has HomeKit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's HomeKit compatible as well. I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. I'd like to buy it, but it's like right now I have to pay off the bills first. First of all, I have to be paid off because we had a power outage a few weeks ago, and I lost a lot of food, so I had to rebuy some food back. I didn't lost tons, but I did lose quite a bit, and I had to do groceries, like 2 groceries, like back to back, kind of like. So I was like, crap. But
that sucks.
Other than that, that's pretty much all that's new on my plate. I'm trying to avoid buying new stuff.
Same here, actually.
So it gets expensive, but yeah. So thank you everybody for checking us out again. If you want to reach us, you can email us. We always love to hear from you guys. If you want to email us for any questions or comments, or you just want to say hello, feel free anytime. Just send us an email. We'll be glad to respond and try to read your letters on the next podcast. You can reach us at contact@eyebytes.tech. That is contact@eyebytes.tech. You can check us out on Twitter at I think it's eyeBytespodcast, all one word, or you can find us on YouTube at, I think it's just eyeBytes or eyeBytes Podcast. I keep forgetting.
Just eyeBytes on YouTube.
Okay, so you can check us out eyeBytes on YouTube, and on that, anything else you want to plug in, Saj? Or
I will say I'm working on a YouTube video on the door detection on YouTube, so that's coming out shortly too.
All right, well, check that out on our YouTube channel. And this again, I'm Daniel, and I was joined with me as always by Saj. Thank you again, guys, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Bye-bye.